This historic home is Meg Thoman's American dream.
We bought the house in April of 2012. The decking on top.
But
2012 was a great year to buy. That was honestly the lowest point of housing. Because things crashed at 2008, but housing lagged. And it kept going down and down for 4 years. 2012.
skyrocketing costs have also made it a financial nightmare.
How does it make you feel when you see bills like this?
It feels like I can't run on the hamster wheel fast enough.
One big expense, your mortgage. Rates are at the highest they've been in years. But owning a home includes other expenses too, and those bills are getting bigger.
All those suck. Insurance keeps going up like crazy. There's repairs. Yeah, you always need maintenance, right? You need to have an emergency fund because something is going to need to be repaired. If you're a homeowner, save money for something that you will need it. Don't run into debt. Like you need a new roof. That's like the most expensive. That costs you like 30 grand easy. New AC unit. That goes out, what, average every 10 years or so? That's going to be 10 grand plus, depending what unit you need. So have money set on the side for that and just let it build interest, but save money for things you know you're going to have to fix. Utilities, that always keeps going up. What can you do about it? What can you do about it? Take less showers? Use the lights less? Like, what can you do about that? HOA fees, that only goes up. And it's very important for people to go to those HOA meetings. I know people complain about HOA all the time, but you do have a voice and you need to attend those meetings. Property tax is nothing you can do about that. Really, that keeps going up too. I mean, yeah, you tell your local politician, hey, stop increasing my property taxes, but everything keeps getting more expensive, right?
Insurance is Meg's new pain point, and nationwide, insurance premiums have soared more than 30% in 4 years because of big storm payouts and inflation. Meg's shopping around now after her insurer dropped her $3,000 a year policy.
This was the best one at $9,500
Which is triple what you used to pay.
Exactly.
More than 3 times the amount. I can understand, like, there's a 20% increase because there's been an influx of natural disasters. But holy crap, more than 3 times the amount. And it's crazy that there's nothing we can do about it.
More than triple.
Another major expense, property taxes, up 4% in a year to more than $4,000 on average. And the biggest money drain, maintenance and repairs, an average of more than $6,500 a year.
I just remembered, first, the property tax is going up. Are you really a homeowner? Like, if you own a mortgage, you don't own the home yet until it's paid off and you have the deed in your hand. But then next is property taxes. If you stop paying property taxes, the government can take your house away. Yeah, they'll fine you for a while, right? But they can get to the point where they'll take the house away from you. And if you stop paying HOA fees, they could potentially take your house. I'll get more into that later at the end of this video. Plus, maintenance and repairs, right? That keeps going up like crazy. Because materials cost more. Labor costs more. So when you need to hire someone to helping hands, they cost more. So all those prices goes to the consumer.
Right now, Meg's getting her roof repaired.
And Meg, once you fix the roof, this is the next project.
We need to replace the entire front porch. I wish we had been able to do it back then because the costs have really skyrocketed since.
Her contractor, Jim LaPointe, says his business is booming, even though he's charging more because costs have never been higher.
These were $77 a box, whereas they were probably 30% less back, maybe a few years ago.
But in general, your price inflation in a typical year would be 5 to 7%, and now it's double
yes,
that.
About that.
All of those rising costs are flipping the owning versus renting equation for many, with Bankrate finding it's now cheaper in all major cities to rent versus buy.
It's cheaper to rent in all major cities than it is to buy. How frustrating is that? Because before it used to be like your rent payment was cheaper than any rent. The only obstacle you have to get through is get 20% down when houses did not cost that much. They were like, what, average $250,000 at the time? So it's common to figure out how to get $40,000, $50,000 to put 20% down. I mean, you can do an FHA, which is 3.5%, but you have the PMI, which is, I believe, private mortgage insurance, which is just a fee you have to pay. But either way, I mean, if your decision is PMI or rent, I mean, you're best off is still have a house where you get some equity in the house. And in order to get rid of the PMI is when you get to 20%, I believe you have to refinance. But now, even if you buy a house, air quotes, and you put 20% down, it still costs more than rents anywhere. That's frustrating. Like, how much do you need to put down so it doesn't feel like rent costs more? I don't know that answer. I wonder if someone in the comments will answer that for me.
We have some repairs in the soffits that need to happen.
But Meg still loves her home.
I'm so thankful that we have one because I have a lot of friends and coworkers who are really struggling to get into the market.
Christine Romans, NBC News, Freehold, New Jersey.
That's the end of the video. I mean, I know way too many people who can't get a house. They'd love to get a house, and everyone feels like they missed out, right? And so many people are like, I'm going to wait on the sidelines because I think a crash is coming. I think interest rates are going to go down. I don't think they are. I really don't think they are. Not anytime soon. I think interest rates are going to kind of stay at this level because that's the number one thing that needs to be tackled. I know people are like, we need rates to go down so we can afford things, but right now, inflation will just come right back up and the problem will get worse. If you disagree, comment in the video. But inflation takes precedence over interest rates. Tackling inflation takes precedence over unemployment. Let's see what interest rates are at right now. Let me see, 1 second. 7.16%. So it's gone down since the end of April. Hopefully it continues to go down, but this could be normal between 6 to 7%. We see 30-year fixed mortgage rates. I honestly believe that. There's no reason for rates to go low again. There's no reason for it. I know that people want those low rates so they can afford a house, but I think that opportunity is gone. It just becomes too inflationary. There's too much demand, lower supply, boom, everything costs more. Even at 7.16%, people are still buying houses, especially at these prices, high prices and high interest rates. I know this because my neighborhood is filled with Californians right now. I live in Arizona. They're turning Arizona into another California, unfortunately. They're leaving. They're running away from the bad policies they voted for, coming here and voting for the same policies. It's frustrating. And the reason, because they're coming here, houses cost more. And the only people buying them are Californians or super rich people from other places, right? And I don't think they're coming in just putting like 3.5% down or 20% down. I think they're putting a huge chunk down, or if not, buying all cash. Of course, I'm speculating, right? I could be totally wrong, but I see those California license plates everywhere. And as I mentioned with home ownerships, I want to get back to this. Do you really own your home? Like when you first get the house, you get the keys, and you have a loan, you have a mortgage, you don't technically own the house. You don't have the deed yet. The bank has the deed, or whomever you did business to get the loan for, right? And of course, you get foreclosed on. So if you get foreclosed on, you don't really own the house. If there's an ability to foreclose on you and kick you out of your own house, technically, you don't own the house. And if you look at your HOA, if you live in an HOA neighborhood, they have the ability to foreclose on you if you read their fine print. If you keep, depending on what it is, too many violations, if you're not taking care of the property, you know, they have that ability. Yeah, I mean, it's depending on what it is. I mean, it's a long shot for them, but they have the ability to do it. I'm sure if they've done it before, if they have constant disputes with this property owner and they don't want them in that community, you know, if you're behind on your HOA fees, you're not paying them, or if you're refusing to pay them, or if you're mad that you got a citation, they charged you like $90 because you didn't upkeep on your weeds and you're refusing to pay it, so they're adding more fees onto it because late fees, you're not paying that, and it spirals out of control because people's prides are so strong, right? But again, you agreed to be part of an HOA community and to pay the fees when you bought the house. But that's what's frustrating. You don't have like true freedom of owning property though, because we're getting more and more that in order to own this property, you agree to these terms. Well, what does that mean? Like, okay, what if, can I not agree to these terms and just own the property? Well, who wants to do that deal? Because someone wants to have some of their grip onto you, where it's like an illusion of home ownership. It's not really real. The only thing you really own is probably the equity, the money built up after you've been paying, interest and maintenance costs. At least you have some money that you can take with you if you were to sell the property and go somewhere else. But there's really no ownership. If you truly own something, you don't have to pay anything for it. The only thing you should be paying is maintenance if at your own leisure, right? Like my computer. I bought it, paid the taxes, that was it. I don't have to pay the government anything for owning a computer monthly. I don't have to pay an organization monthly to own it. Unless I have control, like, there's a software like antivirus. I agree to pay $30 a month because it's this way they handle the viruses of the internet versus me. Yeah, I get that thing. But if there's conditions going into the deal, do you really own? I mean, I could vent about this for a while. But anyway, let me read some comments. So eRock736 says, inflation at this point isn't a lack of resources. It's price gouging the consumers to make massive profits. It's disgusting. There's half truth to this because the prices of resources right now are not going down. Because, you can price gouge, and because a small business needs these resources to provide a service, they put that cost on the consumer. So it's not necessarily like the small business going, here's an opportunity to make extra money at people's expense. These are the big corporations who are just not going to give in and bring down prices on goods. This is why you need to break up monopolies, duopolies, whatever you want to call them, where only a handful of businesses have control of certain resources. Because there needs to be competition. Because if one says, I can sell this product for $18 for whatever, another one will go, hey, I can do $17. And then you have the competition where they bring down prices. X-Men69 Tech 96 says, nobody mentions $12K property tax, which is $1K a month here in Pennsylvania. The government is the ultimate landlord. Yeah, like I said, like I was saying earlier, renting. Do you really own your property in your house, right? I don't think you do physically. I think just the equity. I mean, again, try not to pay your property taxes. See what happens. All right, so Reese Guy Nick says, property taxes should never be as high as a mortgage payment. They should be like a couple $100 a month. We don't need NFL stadiums for high school sports. Property taxes, one of the things that includes in your property taxes is your local education, right? Your elementary, your middle school, and your high school. Plus the lights and everything else in your neighborhood, But one of them is that it pays for schools. Now, who's in control of the taxes? It's the local government / school boards who look into that. Your local politicians have a say in property taxes, about increasing property taxes, lowering property taxes. But I mean, taxes, like anything, they only go up. So it's a matter of like, how do you fight that as a normal citizen? Though I don't have that answer, honestly. You can vote, but you're always going to have two people who's willing to increase property taxes. One, even if they said they didn't, like they went on a campaign saying they're not going to increase property taxes, but then something comes up and they had to do it, blah, blah, blah. So Timo7320 says, I'm very depressed because I've been working and saving very hard to get my first house. And then suddenly the prices, mortgage rates, and other costs like insurance and HOA fees have skyrocketed. I mean, this is what inflation looks like. Everything goes up, and it sucks. When they printed, 40% of the current money supply in the last 5 years, this is what you can expect. The value of the dollar goes down. Therefore, things cost more. And you know what lags behind before you're able to pay these prices? Are wages. Wages, they take forever. Wages are always behind everything. When things get more expensive at a faster rate, wages are always slower. What can the average working person do, right? First you have to be lucky, because you have to do the thing where you have to find a new job every 2 years, higher paying job, get new skills. You have to work so much harder, yet prices and everything keeps going up. But a lot of it has to do with the government. This isn't Republican or Democrat. It's government in general. They have zero problem spending your money, right? It's easy to spend other people's money, but it's hard to spend your own money, right? I actually have a problem with this. I love Colorado. 2195 says, just spent $11,000 on a new furnace and AC unit. Home ownership is not as glamorous as it looks. The problem I have with this is that now it's making it look like renting is easier, right? Renting, if you're a renter, just the landlord's going to cover that cost, right? It's discouraging. And I've been reading rents. I hope this isn't spread. That you agree that if something breaks in the house, like a toilet, you pay the cost of those repairs. If the refrigerator breaks, you pay for the cost of a new refrigerator. Of course, it should be the landlord, right? But now there's more of that's coming up where you agree to these terms. So with your rent going up as it is, you have to pay the maintenance costs and everything else, and it's frustrating. I hope it doesn't keep up. Because if that does happen, if more of these places do that, I mean, the system might crumble. I'm not going to say where I saw this, and I hope it doesn't catch on, but I saw that, I read that, I was like, for real? Like, something breaks, I'm liable for it? I understand, like, if I threw something against the wall and busted a hole, yeah, and, if it was me who caused the breakage, I get it. But if, like, the roof collapses from a storm, I'm not going to pay for that. Things break naturally on their own, like the toilet. I don't want the toilet to break. I need that thing. Real Good says, don't worry, rent will catch up soon. Yeah, I believe it. I do believe that rent will catch up soon. And you know who's loving this? That, like, rent is cheaper than housing? The freaking rental commercial properties, right? They want you to rent their apartments. Of course they do. Green Sneakers and Ham 1 says, property tax is simply rent you pay to the city every year to live in your own home. Yeah, exactly. He said it better than I could. That's exactly what it is. Bear 1830 says, everyone treats housing like an investment luxury before a basic human necessity. That's the problem. I agree with that. There should be some type of, I hate regulation, but you shouldn't be profiting off shelter. There shouldn't be profits off food. Shouldn't be profits off water. Yet somehow we figured out that this is a service that's lucrative. I don't think it should be that way. But what can you do? What is a regulation? That always never works though. Right now we do have regulation on it, and that's why there's a huge cost amount to them. You need to break up a lot of these companies. So FT9KOP, she buys a big house on a big lot and is surprised she has big expenses. Yeah, upkeep is expensive. I mean, I'm sure at the time when she bought it in 2012, it was affordable then. And however, costs for everything, maintenance, labor, materials, they keep going out of control. Yet your own wages are barely catching up. Oh, well, they're not really catching up. What am I saying? They're barely moving. While cost for everything is shooting right up. Now, this was 2012. That was probably affordable then. But of course, there are people, even today, buy a huge house and they can't even afford it. Really, they're just house poor. They just want to look cool and brag about it, but they can't really do anything else because all their money goes to the house, and they're just like one mortgage payment off from going homeless, losing the house, right? They lose their job, they're going to lose their house guaranteed. So don't be one of those people who's, house poor. You want to be cool, whatnot. I say buy a house that you can very, very comfortably afford the mortgage payment. But of course, to be doing that, you have to have like making $200,000 and $250,000 a year plus to afford just a basic house comfortably, right? This way you have expendable money in the savings. Anyway, I digress. This video is going a little longer than I expected, as usual, right? So if you made it this far, I deserve a like and subscribe, if you can please do that. And please leave a comment below. I do read them, and I respond to most of them. A lot of them are just trolls that I'm like, it's not worth it, but if you spark an intelligent conversation, I'll respond. Until next time, bye.